This video contains topics about sexual assault that could be triggering for some viewers. Proceed with caution. Today on The Kickback.
I was like, am I being selected? Am I about to get like super cosmically like queer punked by like Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen?
Don't get into 3 car accidents that basically force you to come out of the closet.
I dated my ex-girlfriend in secret for over a year.
So my story is about my coming out.
I found out that the guy that I was dating was a rapist.
What's up? It's your girl Dom, and welcome back to The Kickback. Today we have the same 8 members of the LGBTQ plus community here to tell us about some stories they've experienced on campus. It's story time, story time, story time. Huge news. I'm going to expand The Kickback to the West Coast. We are expanding. So make sure you guys tune in to future episodes because we're going to start representing different schools here at The Kickback. If you weren't aware, if you follow me on Instagram at Domonique_Cynthia and turn on my story notifications, then you can win the opportunity to call into the next kickback. You get to shout out your name, your Instagram, and also ask a question directly to that week's cast. So make sure you follow me on Instagram to not miss out on that huge opportunity. So let's go ahead and hear some stories and head to the kickback. Hello guys, and welcome back to the kickback. Today you're going to tell us some stories, and we're going to have a variety of different stories. So I'm very excited to hear from all of you. So first I'm going to have you guys reintroduce yourself, starting with Yale.
Hi everyone, my name is Lourdes. I am a rising junior at Yale studying psychology from New York City, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hi everyone, my name is Aidan. I'm a rising junior at Brown studying literary arts and public health. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, and I use he, him, and they, them pronouns.
Hey y'all, I'm William. I am a rising junior studying international agriculture and rural development. I am from Phoenix, Arizona.
Hi, my name is Jonathon Scotto. I am a junior at Penn studying cognitive neuroscience, and I'm from Miami, Florida.
Hey, what's up? I'm Santi. I'm from outside of New York City in New Jersey. I study sociology, and my pronouns are he, him, and his.
I'm Manuel. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm a rising senior at Harvard studying cognitive neuroscience and studio arts. And my pronouns are he, him, his.
Hi, I'm Cecilia. I just graduated from Dartmouth. I'm from Winnipeg, Canada, and I studied women, gender, sexuality studies and creative writing.
Hi, I'm Lexis. I am a rising junior at Columbia. I live in downtown Los Angeles, and I am studying East Asian languages and cultures, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs.
Awesome. So whoever wants to go first can start with their story. If you can give us the topic or the what your story is going to be about, and then just jump right into the story time.
Mine's short and sweet. But I just think it's a very I guess stereotypical like lesbian first date. That to say. So it's the second first date I've ever been on in my life. With my now ex, and she's just a really lovely human being. And so we like met in K-Town at this like food court style place, and she's Korean, she loves Korean food, so we got Korean food, and we were just like eating and sitting there, and it was like a cool casual thing. Like I've not been on a lot of dates, so I didn't really know what to expect, and like we got there at 7, and then at one point we looked at the time and it was like 10 p.m. And we were like, oh, like we've been talking for 3 hours. That's cool. And then we started like, walking around K-Town, for a bit, and we stopped at an H Mart, which for those of you who don't know, is like an Asian supermarket. And one of the best places ever. And we were just like, you know what? We're just going to get a bunch of snacks. We got a bunch of chips, a bunch of Pockies. I think we also got the Choco Puffs. Yeah. And just like, and then when she lives off campus, so we went back to her apartment or whatever, which was near K-Town. And then like in true like gay fashion, just like sat on her couch and like talked for hours. Mind you, we'd never met each other before this night. Like we met on an app, but it was just like that like instant deep connection to a person. And I think that's what's really cool about having other queer friends is like, because like our relationships on a romantic level are already out of the like what we've been structured to believe is the norm. I feel like our friendships are too, and it's really amazing. And like, yeah, like I think that my connection with my queer friends is always just so strong in a way that I never anticipate, and just like cuts to a level of depth because of that like kind of kindred, like mutual understanding. And like queer friends are also just the weirdest, and I love it. Like,
Love that. This story is not as cute or happy as the others, but I feel like it's a very important story to be told. This is the story of how I found out that the guy that I was dating was a rapist. So I feel like as awesome as the LGBT community is, I think it's a little naive to say that sexual assault and things like that don't happen in our community, because they very much do, right? So it's not always the straight dude who's in a frat. It's not always the creepy white guy. You know, it could happen to even us, which is very, I mean, historically it's also happened to us a lot, but let's not get into that because I'll never stop. But over the summer, I was abroad in Argentina, and I started talking to the senior. So I was going into my sophomore year, and he was going to the senior year, and I would text him. And then when he got back to campus, we started seeing each other. And then, you know, like, it wasn't perfect, and I wasn't completely into it. But again, sophomore year was a sophomore slump, so you're kind of just like, you think that kind of like, oh, like, I'm dating somebody, things will be a little better. So it was kind of like, in many ways, I thought it was a situation that was ideal for me. And then through multiple accounts, I found out that he was actually a rapist. I'm not going to say any names because I'm not going to take the lawsuit, but it was really, really shocking to hear. And it was especially shocking because it was kind of like you were speaking to this person this whole time, and then you just had this completely idea of them in your head. And then when somebody tells you something that's shocking, and then you hear from multiple people, and on top of that, you hear other awful things about this person, like on top of the rape, you're kind of just like, holy, like, you know, what do I make of this? Like, what do I do? But your boy's not a rape apologist. Immediately, I didn't even confront him about it. I didn't even tell him. I was just kind of like, at that time, he was also not being like a great guy, and I was really enjoying dating him. We were never really in a relationship, but it was like a situationship. I know my queer friends can relate, but it was very much like that, and I was very scared. You know, it's kind of scary because when you like, I feel like you're in a situation with somebody who has a history of like sexual assault, you're kind of scared that if you like deny them something, or you say no, or you walk away, you can get hurt. And that was my thing. I was kind of scared that I was going to put myself in a position where he was going to do what he did to that other person, which is kind of terrible, and it was really scary. So like, my first instinct actually wasn't to be like, oh, like, I don't want to end things. It's kind of like, maybe the rumors didn't happen, or maybe there's some way we can work around this. But things like that are very, very hard to ignore, and they shouldn't be ignored. And I feel like it's naive to think that they should be ignored. So immediately, he was promptly dumped. And you know, the best part is that his senior year got ruined. So like, you know, we all kind of got something good out of it in the end. But it was really, really terrible. So like, if you're watching this and you're ever in that situation, you know, like, I feel like definitely rely on your friends. My friends were definitely my emotional crutch for such a weird situation to navigate. Also like, it was just also like one of my biggest instincts was exposing, but then I realized that was also not my story to tell. And you did not want to put the victim of because I was never told who was the victim, but like, you don't want to put the victim in a place where like those news are circulating around, and like, you know, they have to relive that trauma or have to deal with things that they're not ready to deal with. So like, I feel like it's a very big balance of maturity and discretion that is very, very tough to navigate when I was only 19. I'm 20 now, so it's not that much older, but I feel like it's a very weird thing, especially when you don't really have first experience of assault. So that's my PSA. Like, you know, just really be careful about things like that and don't think that they can't happen to you, or people that just because they're in such a loving and welcoming community, for the most part, doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing these atrocious, terrible, crazy things. So yeah, that's my story. But things got better, and you know, like, you know, the semester got better after I dumped him. You know, like, nothing went wrong with dumping a white guy. So
Thank you for feeling comfortable sharing that story with us. It meant a lot to me. I really do appreciate it.
of course, anytime.
Can I tell a story? I changed my story now because I kind of also like want to talk about stuff. but I don't really, okay, so I haven't prepared, obviously, but in true queer fashion. So being, I guess I kind of want to say, like you deserve to be able to go out and have fun and be safe and not have to worry. And it's like, it's a really thing that, like, not everybody has to worry about, but I guess I want to, like, so if there are people watching that can relate to this, so like when I go out, I said in the last time I don't really like go to frats anymore, but I'm just kind of sick of going out and being like the more like masculine presenting body that I am. Whenever I go out with my friends who are more like feminine, I guess, I always have to be that wall, and I'm always like the protective kind of body, which, like, yes, I'm gonna, like, obviously I'm gonna protect my friends, I'm gonna protect people, but I'm not gonna like say particular story just because, like, it, you know, that's people I need to bring into here that I don't need to bring into here. But just like, if you're watching this, you deserve to go out and have fun and not have to protect people and not have to be protected. And so I know it's sometimes hard to find those spaces because it seems like it's kind of like everywhere, but once you do kind of find like a friend group, I don't really know. This isn't in a form of a story. It's just kind of like, if like people out there are relating to this, you know, like, it gets kind of exhausting being the wall between your friends and people who are like acting predatory. And you know, like, you deserve to go out and have a good time. And that's kind of just like, I guess, the message. I just want to say it.
I feel that's so hard, especially as like a trans man who went from like presenting like really feminine and then transitioning, and now I pass as a man, so I do feel like I have male privilege, and so like I use that. I like started to use that, but it's like, I don't think I realized how serious male privilege is until I experienced both sides of it, because like I'll be walking down the street and like guys will like do like a head nod to me or whatever, and like I would, before, I like never would get any acknowledgement from a guy. Like as a woman, like, you like, guys either catcall you or completely ignore you, and so like that like switch up was wild to me. Like, you really feel so much safer like walking down the street, walking at night. Like, yeah, I just didn't realize how serious male privilege is. Like, it's crazy. That wasn't my story, but I guess I could tell my story now. So my story is about my coming out. It was kind of funny. So basically, in sophomore year of high school, sophomore year of college, I was really, I didn't really communicate with my family a lot. Like, my mom would always like blow up my phone, and like I wasn't very good at responding. Like, I was really hiding a lot of stuff because I was closeted for like all my life, so I was really private and like really just not very like outgoing and an open person. And so, because I felt like I was always acting like I wasn't actually myself. So at one point, my sister decides, she lives in New York, and she decides to come visit me. So she's like, hey, I'm gonna come visit, like, say hi. And I was like, yo, please don't come visit. Like, I live with 2 guys. She didn't know that. My family didn't know that. I was like stressing so heavy. So I was like, don't come today. Like, I'm busy. I have a meeting. And so I told her, like, she was like, oh, what building is the meeting in? So I like made up a random building called the Barker Center. It was a real building, but I wasn't actually in the Barker Center doing anything. So she ends up driving like 3 hours to Harvard from New York to come to the Barker Center. She like Google Maps the Barker Center. I didn't know she did this. Meanwhile, I was in my friend's dorm in Mather House. Shout out to Zoko. That was like my home Mather family. So I was chilling in their dorm. My sister's at Barker Center, pulls up. Apparently it was National Coming Out Day. I had no clue. I don't think I even knew it was Pride Month at that point. Like, I had absolutely no clue. And there was a National Coming Out Day celebration in the Barker Center. I literally had no idea. So I was in Mather, and she pulls up to there. She didn't say anything at first, so she was like, where are you? And I was like, oh, I'll just meet you at my dorm. Like, the meeting ended early, something like that. So we ended up meeting at my dorm. My roommates were so great. We borrowed some of our friends' pads. Like, we set up our room, acted like no guys lived there. Like, we really made it look like I closed all their doors. Like, we put everything, anything masculine away. So she came into my room. It went well. Went out. We barely really talked though. And then the next day, she kept trying to hang out more because she felt like we didn't talk, because we didn't. I was super closed off and everything. So next morning, we got breakfast for my class. Still didn't really get anywhere with talking. I thought she was gonna leave after that, but then I went to my class. She was still there, and I was like, "Bruh, please just leave." I love her though. She's great. And so then we went to. She was doing. I was working on a project, and she was there too. And so she started talking more. We started getting into more stuff, and then she brought up the fact that she went to the Barker Center. There was a National Coming Out Day thing. She thought all this stuff. So she really thought I had planned all that or something. So she basically confronted me, and I was like, and at the time I was like, I straight up denied it. To her face, I was like, I'm not gay. I was like, no, I'm not anything. And she's so amazing and accepting, and she ended up being the first person that I did come out to eventually. But in the moment, being confronted in that way, I was like, please no. So I don't know. I guess to any family members or anything, I would say, and even friends, if you're suspecting that someone is I'm a member of the LGBTQ plus community, maybe drop hints that you actively support a lot, but maybe don't straight up be like, are you gay? Don't go to their school. I don't know. It's a funny story now, and we talk about it and joke about it, but I was I felt so called out in that moment. I was like, I'm not ready for this conversation right now. So yeah, I would just say kind of be patient with them, because everyone takes their own time. But it was nice because in that conversation, she let me know I'm here for you and stuff like that. So eventually that's what led me to coming out to her. And then eventually when I came out to my mom, she was like, I already knew, but not because my sister told her. She just knew because as a kid, I feel this is a common trans thing where your characters on I don't know, Club Penguin, the Wii, you make your character a guy. So I would always make my Wii character as a child a guy character, and always do guy emojis, all that stuff. So I also told my mom when I was 3 years old, but we never really talked about that. But yeah, I swear Club Penguin was such a pretending to be a guy on Club Penguin was such a trans kid thing to do. So yeah, sorry that was kind of long, but that was my story.
I love that.
That's hilarious. All my characters were always guys.
No, I knew when I started maining Zelda on Smash. I knew it. So
I literally feel so seen.
I named every character in every game I ever played Tatiana.
My mom also did the same thing where she was like, I guess I played Haley Kiyoko one too many times, and my mom was like, do you have something to tell me? And I was like, oh. Not my story, but I can jump in. I'll keep it nice, short, and sweet. But basically, the gist of mine is that I dated my ex-girlfriend in secret for over a year. So that's a big, long backbone story with a bunch of little stories that can come off of it, but I'll kind of do an overarching moral of the story type of thing. So that was pretty much my entire first year of college was sustaining this relationship, and obviously there were lots of obstacles with our families not knowing and not being able to post on social media and all this other stuff that comes with that. And it was also my first real relationship, so that was also just a huge challenge. But kind of because of that, out of sheer necessity, I was able to talk about this kind of stuff with the people who are now my best friends. So a lot of good came out of that. Kind of to speed through the whole relationship, she broke up with me in a Starbucks. That was tragic, but it's okay. We're on good terms now. But I think that just through that relationship and through that, like being my whole first year of college, I learned a lot about myself. And I think that through your first relationship, especially through your first, like openly queer relationship, you learn a lot about yourself and how you want to be loved and how to navigate both your identity and the people in your life who are going to support your identity. And kind of flashing forward again, I've moved on. We're on good terms. I texted her before doing this, being like, can I talk about our relationship? But now I'm actually dating a man. And sort of a side story branching off of that is that kind of when I first started dating my current boyfriend, who I love dearly, one of my friends was like, oh my God, you're straight now. And I was like, ah. And she's like, welcome to the heterosexuals. And I was like, so, but one thing that I did then that I probably wouldn't have done like a year prior was I stood up for myself. I was like, hey, like, I'm still bisexual. Like, bisexuality has not changed. So stick up for yourself. Don't let your identity be erased. Learn from your experiences and let them make you stronger. I think that there's so much we can learn from the good and the bad things that happen to us that have to do with our identity. And I think that I've grown so much from my experiences to kind of tie it up with a nice little bisexual bow.
I was also broken up with in a Starbucks, so I feel like I think at this point I could continue a little bit with my story. I think the focus of mine is like how you manage relationships with family members and how I guess like kind of like it's a theme of our last meetup was like respect yourself, and I think that's like the bigger theme of my story is like basically I got into like my first like romance, love, like Call Me by Your Name was like just coming out. It's like a really big movie. We were like very much like feeling the type of ways. I wasn't out. I think most of the people in my school knew, but no one in my family did. And I just recently like became friends with the guy out of like my entire childhood of never being friends with like one male person. And I think that my family had like an inclination as to this friend of mine. And basically like we would be spending a lot of time together because we were obviously dating. And my family was starting to get really hesitant and very, I don't want to say militant, but like militant against me seeing this person. So I kind of like my entire senior year of high school lived this insane double life of like trying not to be home as much as possible because not being home meant I could be myself. And I think that like if anyone is watching this and can relate to this, if you're a senior in high school, if you're just counting down the days to leave home, like it's real. Like that is so tough. And like I can distinctly remember like as if it was yesterday. It was like it's one of these like American holidays. I think it's President's Day in February. Is it President's Day? Okay, so it's President's Day. We have the day off from school, so I obviously go to my boyfriend's house. We go and get Chili's with my best friend Alina. If you're watching this, hello. And when I go back to drop him off at his place, we like snuggle, watch a movie. I start not feeling good. His mom was making us dinner. So it was another really insane tidbit about this is that like my family was very much not in the know. Didn't like the idea that I was friends with this person at all. And then his family like kind of like took me in, like wanted me to be a part of the family. We did like a quadruple Valentine's Day date, but it's President's Day. I have to leave his house because I'm not feeling good at all. And I end up getting into a 3-car accident 2 blocks away from his house. My first car accident as a kid. And yeah, so that is how my mother met my first boyfriend, his mother, and basically the entire family. So his entire family came to the car accident because they were 2 blocks away. It was rush hour traffic. My mom took like half an hour to get to where I was. And then it starts raining. So inside my car, it's me, my boyfriend, his mom, and my mom. And I'm literally here like, And that was kind of like the beginning of like a really long-winded couple of months from like February until I left to Penn about like, we just were not on the same page. It was a lot of conflict. I officially came out that summer right when I came to Penn. And I think since 2018, I think it's about to be 2 years since that, it's like, you're coming out, I feel like people make it to be like this one thing that you just come out of the closet and it's done. Like, I think for me specifically, and if you can relate to this, if you come out, like it's a multi-year process. It's breaking down and rebuilding your relationships with people. And for me, with my family, most of those relationships haven't been rebuilt. And I think that 2 years down the line, like looking back from like when I actually came out and said, hey, this is not changing, this is who I am, my family has somewhat come around and like I guess the best ways that they could, but I also realized that like you got to stand up for yourself and realize that you have a right to be treated fairly. And through that lesson, I kind of learned that like your chosen family kind of becomes your family as someone like who's queer or someone who's gay or whatever you are, whatever your identity is. Like, don't have to have a label on it. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't have the support that you need from your blood family, you can always find your own family and make your own family. And I feel so much more supported by the people that I've chosen to have in my life than by the people that have been placed in my life by like societal standards and structures. So don't stay loyal to people that abuse you emotionally. Don't stand up. Don't let it happen. Don't let yourself be walked all over. And don't get into 3 car accidents that basically force you to come out of the closet. That's the whole thing.
So I have a relationship tale of 2 coffee shops to pick up a few themes that everybody's put down. In my experience, it feels like a lot of gay guys at Brown are in open relationships with like the MCAT, Judith Butler, and a performance artist, ex-barista with a really long beard who lives like 2 blocks off campus. So I never really had like high expectations of finding love in my discussion section. And the first coffee shop in the story, there was a place on campus called Shiru where you could like give some of your student data, like what you studied, what you wanted to be when you grew up, and your email, and they would sell it to companies in exchange for free coffee for like the whole time that you were on campus. And so I like lived and breathed Shiru freshman year, but then it closed sophomore year. And so, newly unhinged, I guess, from my academic home, I discovered the glories of studying at the library. And so I was going into the library and I see this really hot guy in the lobby. And I like avert eye contact, like look down, just like clip clop in my little boots, like into the library. I'm like, well, we'll never see each other again, nor will we speak. And I go upstairs to like a little carrel looking out on the green, and I set up shop. And then I open up Grindr, and there he is, like 50 feet away. It's like, oh my gosh, it's that dude. I was like, well, don't worry about it. Don't make it a thing. Just like write this reading response. And so I'm sitting in my carrel, and there's someone around the wall from me. And like 30 minutes later, that guy from the lobby comes up and asks the student who's sitting on the other wall, like at the other carrel around the wall, for me to leave. And I have my earbuds in, so I don't really know like what he says. I was like, am I being selected? Am I about to get like super cosmically like queer punked by like Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen, like humiliated on national TV or something? And so we're sitting there. Grindr says we are 0 feet away, and I'm just like fastidiously ignoring him. Every time he gets up to go like look at a book, I type with the force of 1,000 acrylics. I'm completely not engaging. And so I work there for like 2 hours and I leave. I'm like, I cannot talk to him. But I sent him a message. He said he studies photography. So I made a joke about like a Barthes book called Camera Lucida. It was like kind of sexy. It was kind of stupid. And we started talking. I was like, oh my God, like this worked. And the next night I was in the library on a Friday, and he came to see me, and then we started dating. We dated for like 4 months. So that was like exactly the like Deridian debutante ball that I wanted. I was like, whoa, I never would have imagined being like luxuriously courted online through the wall in the library. in that relationship, that was really nice. Like we went out for bagels. Like he took me on like a bagel gauntlet of the city of Providence. I'm more of a biscuit person, like as a Southern girl, but it was fun. But that was also the relationship in which I had some pretty important realizations about like self-respect and my own kind of like queer timeline. Like I came out when I was 13 for the first time. This guy was a PhD student. He's a little bit older than me. He came out when he was 22. So our timelines and our journeys were really different. And he was the guy with which I was kind of verbally harassed on the street multiple times, like that I referenced in the previous video. And that, of course, it made me uncomfortable, but it made him so much more uncomfortable than me. I mean, this was the first time, like, I had always wanted a relationship where I could walk around campus and hold hands with somebody and, like, sit on a bench and we could, like, read poetry and stuff together. And I don't know, like, my perfect, like, Socratic fling. I don't know, like, it was perfect. I had never had something like that in the South, and I didn't feel like comfortable. I didn't feel like the environment was at all accommodating to that kind of expression or articulation of, like, queerness or intimacy. And the response that we got on and off campus kind of like destroyed that for him. And so this is not at all to say that like the relationship didn't work because he wasn't comfortable with his queerness and I was. We just had different levels of comfort that we couldn't make synergize. And it kind of hurt me to see that it felt like he was sort of rerouting a lot of that shame into me, the person who expressed themselves a lot more effeminately, like, especially as I was becoming more comfortable with exploring my gender identity and being genderqueer. I finally stopped biting my nails after like 19 and a half years so I could paint them. So I was painting my nails, I was wearing earrings, I was wearing makeup, like, and it made me feel like he was kind of impugning my feminine presentation. And so eventually we broke up for many reasons. Another one was that I kind of sat on my hands, like Hester Prynne, ex 21st Century Girl collab. Like, well, I guess if things aren't great, like if he doesn't really make time for me, or he won't hold my hand in public, like you just have to push through and like it will get better. But then I realized like if it feels like something's wrong, something is wrong. And that I needed to stand up for myself and explain like, no, I'm not going to compromise anything about my sense of queer aesthetics or queer presentation to make you more comfortable. And so we broke up in a second coffee shop. We hadn't spoken for like ages. And in the middle of a week, he sent me a text that was perfectly punctuated, like, hey, do you want to hang out this Friday? I was like, that's it. That's my summons. And he was like, it was a week before Valentine's. I was like, my girls and I were going out of town the next weekend. And I was like, but I'll be in town for Valentine's Day. And he was like, about that. And that was the end of that. But I learned important lessons about myself, and I don't study there anymore. I picked a different Carol. I'm molted.
So this was my freshman year. I came in, I was just like, let me see who all I can meet, wherever, whenever. I love meeting new people. That's my favorite thing. So I had started at a dining hall where all the freshmen are. They call it a PEL. And I was just like, it's like every week there was a brand new set of other workers, because the students just come in and out. They're like, oh, I work 1 week, now I got a little money, don't need to work anymore. I was working in the dining hall the whole freshman year. Towards the end of the year, I met this dude. I won't say his name, but he was really sweet. He was Mexican, but he was really light skinned. So he was white passing. And instantly we just hit it off like that, talking every day, working together. Because if you have to work together, you have to do so many tasks together. Like if we're in the dining hall, we might be grabbing dishes together. Anything. So we just, that playful banter, that kind of cutesy little relationship, I guess. But we were talking and talking and talking, and then finally, they had one gay party that year, like the freshman year, Taste the Rainbow. And we went, I made sure to bring him with me and my friends, but I really wanted to bring him too, like a separate aside, as this is my friend. And we're mad chill. Like we never kissed or anything, but we're like friends. We're close friends. We talk all the time on Snapchat. But we started making out in that party. And we went to the back room and we started making out a little more. And I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm gonna let it go wherever it want to go. So when we got in there though, in the other room, we were just like, this party's getting too stuffy. So we ended up leaving. We did. We went to his dorm, which he had a king size bed apparently because his roommate, that when they had two twin size beds, his roommate left, so they put that bed together. And I seen that king size bed when I walked in that room, and I said, "Oh, this is what we're doing." That was not what we were doing. After that, I still tried to talk to him, keep in contact with him, because like it's love, you know. You're friends with somebody, you want to keep that friendship. But he just kind of slowly began to drift away. And then I was like, once I see somebody drifting away, it's driftwood. It's going to float regardless. You can't. It's kind of hard to catch that. So I just let it go. But it was fun while it lasted. A whole month and about a month and a half.
I feel like that like defines all of my dating experiences. Like, it was fun while it lasted.
Well, it lasted.
So thank you guys for sharing your stories today, and all of the questions were kind of answered from the story time. So we're going to leave it here at this. So if you have any more questions, feel free to DM them. Awesome. Thank you guys. Bye. If you enjoyed this video today, make sure to smash that subscribe button and press the bell to get notified when I post, which is 2 to 3 times a week. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and turn on my story notifications so you can win the chance to call into a future kickback. Take note that we are expanding to the West Coast, so get excited because it's about to be so cool. Otherwise, I will catch you guys at the next kickback. Have a great day.